where we are considering objections from the police and environmental health to a 10, which is located in the front garden of 6 Cambridge Gardens. I'm Councillor Evans. I have no declarations. This is being held via Microsoft Teams. I am joined by Councillors David Lindsay and Councillor Wade. Please let us know if you have any declarations.
No declarations.
No declarations.
Thank you. We are joined by Paul Phelan from the licensing team, our legal advisor Heidi Titcomb, and legal assistant Georgia Hoiderberg. Our committee officers Holly Weaver and Danielle Healy will be monitoring our connections. Ground rules, we keep your microphones off unless you're speaking, and please turn off your mobile phones. Everyone should have received the procedure for the meeting regarding the use of cameras and how to connect back in. Holly Weaver, please run through the list of the people wishing to speak today. I don't believe there's no one here on behalf of the applicant. Is that correct?
That's correct, Madam Chairman. I was able to contact the premises user just now, but he understands that the hearing is proceeding in his absence. But on behalf of the objectors, we have PC Mark Perry speaking for the police, and we have Julian Trill from the RBKC's Noise and Nuisance team, both objecting, and also on the line is PC Paul Connolly, but he's observing today.
Okay, thank you. If there is a problem, I nominate Councillor Lindsay to be my substitute. Councillor Wade, do you second this nomination?
Yes, I second the nomination.
Okay, Councillor Lindsay, you are the substitute chair. The licensing officer will give a brief outline of the 10, then Mr. Richardson will go next. After that, we will not have the premises user who's agreed that we can proceed, and we will ask the police to present their objection. Then we will ask the police and questions, and we will ask Mr. Richardson questions, and our legal officer will ask questions. Environmental health will go next, and Mr. Julian Trill will present his objection. 10 minutes, everyone, maximum. Finally, I will turn to the governance team to see if any issues have been raised. There'll be no summing up, as we know, and the committee will then adjourn. Mr. Phelan, please, can you outline the 10 and confirm whether there are any additional papers?
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, everyone. Mr. Prince Richardson has submitted a temporary event notice for a temporary licensable event to be held on Sunday the 24th and Monday the 25th of August 2025 between the hours of midday and 7 p.m. on both days. Mr. Richardson proposes to use the front garden area of 6 Cambridge Gardens to provide sales of alcohol both on and off the premises. A copy of the temporary event notice and supporting documentation can be found at Appendix A of today's report. This notification has attracted an objection from PC Mark Perry of the Metropolitan Police on the grounds of the prevention of crime and disorder and public safety. A summary of his representation is provided on pages 5 to 6 of the report, with the full objection attached at Appendix B. Additionally, Mr. Philip Richardson, a Principal Environmental Health Officer for RBKC, has objected on the grounds of public safety and the prevention of public nuisance. A summary of his representation is included on page 6 of the report, with the full objection attached at Appendix C. Finally, Chair, I can confirm that there are no additional documents available for today's hearing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, we will not have Mr. Richardson, as I mentioned, so we will go straight to the police objection. Mr. Perry, are you speaking?
I am, thank you, Chair.
Thank you. You have up to 10.
I hope not to use up to 10 minutes, Chair. We've all been through the aware of what Notting Hill Carnival is. I don't wish to take up the committee's time by repeating that. So perhaps if we could turn to page 29. Oh, thank you. As if by magic. If you see the little sort of a cleft music symbol on the bottom left on Cambridge Gardens to the left, That is Lord Gelly's sound system. This is a busy sound system that attracts thousands of people. And the sound system on Portobello Road up by the three little symbols of pint glasses, that is a Vigo sound system. Our concern is that, again, primarily on the grounds of public safety, but also on crime and disorder, is that this road, Cambridge Gardens, is situated between two of the busier roads, Ladbroke Grove, where the carnival goes down, and Portobello Road, where is a major thoroughfare. It's also an area where we receive, where there was a large amount of crime last year compared to the rest of the carnival. This area was certainly a hotspot. And our concern is primarily that because Cambridge Gardens is expected to be busy with the flow of people going between Ladbroke Road and Portobello Road, it is going to be difficult to maintain and control that. We know how many people are going down Cambridge Gardens. It's a lot. It is incredibly difficult to keep this area safe in terms of crowd flow. And the applicant in their application has said, and in a subsequent email said they would use a barrier system to keep the queues in place. Barrier systems that aren't managed by or controlled by or haven't been risk assessed by the carnival and the police and responsible authorities are incredibly dangerous. When you have thousands of people going past, which you will do at times, it can cause a trip hazard. People can be pushed up against it, and it really is something that we very strongly should not be in place because it is difficult to manage. The application, the risk assessment itself seems to be by a private company and Rumshack, and the risk assessment appears to be rather generic. It talks about having marshals. Well, there's no marshals, there's no follow-up on that. And it seems to me that if there were marshals, then they would have been spoken to, or we would be more aware of them. It just seems to us that this is an unnecessary risk. It would increase the risk of public safety, of accidents taking place through crushing. The risk assessment isn't specific enough in how it managed the risks that we've identified. And we do believe that because the sheer number of people there and because there was a high crime area last year around there, it would increase the risk of crime and disorder taking place. Certainly that area there and a few others was a hotspot for violence and sexual assaults. If I can be of any further assistance.
Thank you. That was very helpful. Councillor Lindsay, any questions? Microphone.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Constable. How would you describe the crowd specifically along Cambridge Gardens, where the applicant has made, where this site will be?
It's less density in terms of crowds, and sadly, I don't have any pictures for you. One of the things, as Notting Hill Carnival seeks to improve every year, make it safer, we are trying to improve our police response. So for this carnival going forward, we're having specific teams go out to take pictures of sites, so that next year's TENS process will have actual pictures outside premises with timestamps, so you'll be able to see exactly what it's like. Cambridge Gardens suffers from spikes, so it's not on the main route, but it is between Portobello and Cambridge and Ladbroke Grove. And you do get flows of people going through as they move between. And certainly people do tend to mill around there as well as they sort of take a breath going between busy roads. And if you have bars there, you have people congregating. And so it is that risk of, a crowd surge plus a bar there increases the risk for us.
Thank you for that. On the application on page 11, it says, please state the maximum number of people at any one time that you intend to allow to be present on the premises. And it's 10. Is that realistic? Is that generous?
As I've said, it will be a little difficult for me to comment because the applicant isn't here to defend themselves. I would say that's probably the staff. Although he's requested on sales, I can't see there being any space there for actual customers. It'd probably be quite dangerous if they were. They've also talked about having barriers, but barriers are incredibly dangerous.
I get that about barriers.
Yeah.
Thank you for that clarification. And my third question is selling alcohol and soft drinks. Do we know whether it's tins or cups or potential projectiles, or is that a matter on which this report is completely silent?
It is completely silent. All I can say is the risk assessment is by Rumshack, so I'm assuming that rum will be certainly a part of the sales offering. But I'd imagine it's going to be cans of Red Stripe or cans of beer, and that whether they'll decant or not, I can't say.
Thank you for that, Madam Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Wade?
When you described on the map, when we see the there seem to be a number of different alcohol sales in the immediate area. You've got another one in Cambridge Gardens, and then you've got three on close to Portobello Road. Going back to the risk assessment that was supplied, you're saying that though it said that there would be marshals, that the marshals haven't engaged with the police, is that right?
Yeah, in the risk assessment, councillor, it talks about having marshals and radio gear, which for us, what is a very small tent, seems to me to be a little bit generic, shall we say. It would have been good to sort of speak to the applicant to get some clarification. Just for yours and the committee's information, the yellow symbols and the greyed out one, they've all been objected to, and I believe committee heard one for Cambridge Gardens yesterday that was also refused. The only one that's going ahead is one which is Trade Tacos, which is on Portobello Road, but that's inside, and the one in Cambridge Gardens, which is also inside as well, I believe. So all the ones that are outside that are sort of like getting people where they could queue on Cambridge Gardens and cause those safety concerns and those crime disorders, we've actually objected to those ones.
I think coming back to the issue of the barriers, there didn't seem to be very much of a detail as to what the barriers would be like, where they would sit on the forecourt. And it's presumed that, I think this is the one, sorry, I've looked at a number of pictures recently. I couldn't work out whether or not the barriers were on private land or whether they were on the street.
I think it's a little difficult, and I appreciate your forbearance on this. So as I understand it, he's got barriers protecting people coming in, which then raises the question, well, how are you going to have on sales if you've got barriers? How are you going to manage that effectively? Especially when, we don't know if there's going to be security or marshals or however many, but also he talks about having barriers on the street to manage queues, which is incredibly dangerous. So as far as I'm aware, from the plan, it talks about having barriers to prevent people coming in and out, which raises questions. And he also subsequently talks about having barriers to manage the queues. It's not the clearest, and all I can say is that adds to my concerns.
I mean, this is so the fence is actually the railings.
Yeah.
All right, so steps to property, and they're planning to sell it in the front garden.
Yes. No, in his application, he talks about having barriers as well, and in a subsequent email, he also talked about having barriers as well to manage the queues. But so I don't know how. If you imagine you've got, say, during a spike where it's particularly busy, you've got, say, several thousand people moving down a road between when it's one of the busy periods. How are you going to let people in and out when there's when there's a sort of crowd of people going past without increasing the risk? I don't think you can. And also, if you've got barriers on the pavement or on the road to manage your queue, unless they're properly secured, they're properly managed, and they're part of the carnival process, it really does exponentially increase the risk as people get pushed into them, they trip over them, fall over, and then get trodden on. So we're very, very concerned by anyone who says they're going to use barriers to control crowds unless they're part of they've been part of the sort of Notting Hill Carnival planning process with the council and the carnival organisers.
Because I know you may not be able to answer this, but somebody else in the room might. One of the things that concerns me is, one, insurance. Two, if this is a multiply owned property, whether or not the freeholder's given permission. Because there is the potential for not only insurance claims to cover damage to the property, but also that I can't see from the application that it's covered potential injury to a festival goer or a client. I mean, that's something that concerns me, that wasn't covered anywhere.
No, you're absolutely right, councillor. It's not covered in, and again, sadly, this risk assessment and the plan raise more questions than answers, provide more questions than answers, and for us, it's just a risk too far. And as the committee said in the previous turn, we really do urge people who want to do this to contact Notting Hill Carnival months before, so they can be part of the proper planning process. Because then they can be properly risk assessed, stress test, and they go through sort of like checks by an independent company. When you have a 10 come before you, it's gone through none of that. So we have to make a snapshot decision within 3 days based on what they send us. And based on what they've sent us, we just feel the risks are too high.
Have you ever come across this risk assessment company before?
Yeah, I've come across not the company before, but the risk assessment is very generic. And having worked on the planning process for multiple festivals, it is very generic. It doesn't sort of mention, normally if it's a detailed risk assessment, we'd have a picture of the property and say this is where exactly where the queue is going to be. This is where security is going to be stationed. It would be more speaking about the specifics of this application, whereas this one is just generic, like communication with other staff, electrical equipment. If there's ASB, we will contact the police. It's too broad a brush to paint a detailed picture for us to gain any useful information from.
Or the training of the marshals.
Exactly. And for a small premises, to have marshals is, again, it leads me to believe that this was a risk assessment for a slightly larger event that has been attached to this without any sort of like reference to the actual individual application.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you again for your time, PC Perry. Would you say that someone's experience as a bus driver, some of it could be transposed to run a stall at Carnival? Do you think any of the skills are helpful?
Certainly. I mean, I think, bus drivers deal with overcrowded buses. They deal with similar to police officers, you deal with people who could be upset, aggravated, aggressive sometimes. So there's certainly sort of a skill set that can be transposed. But even if you were to take a normal police officer and put them in Notting Hill Carnival without experience and training and support, they would make very little difference. In fact, they may cause more problems than they solve. And it's the same with the bus driver. You have skills that can be transposed, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you can make the event safer.
Okay, thank you. Now, any questions from Mr. Richardson?
He's not on the call, Madam Chairman.
Sorry?
He's not on the call.
Oh, he's not on the call. So, Mr. Trill, do you have any questions?
No questions, Madam.
No questions. So then we can go straight into your submission, Mr. Trill. Please turn on your camera and you have up to 10 minutes.
Thank you very much. I certainly won't need that amount of time. I mean, clearly it's very unfortunate that the applicant wasn't able to attend today, because he may have been able to clarify some of the issues that you've raised and the questions you've raised, as well as PC Perry, because as has rightly been pointed out, some of the crowd mitigation measures involve barriers, and we would want to know what that actually meant. In the risk assessment, as been pointed out, it talks about marshals. Does it mean one SIA person on the door, perhaps controlling entry and exit? We don't know. We're not going to be able to find those out. Just to add to the description of the area, obviously we've heard the description of the location on Cambridge Gardens with the sound system. There are two further sound systems sort of parallel on Cambridge Gardens that we've heard about, and we have the busy north-south routes of Portobello Road for those off of the parade route, as well as Ladbroke Grove itself. Also on Portobello Green, as I understand it, there's going to be an event taking place there. So that this is going to be a busy area. Let's make no mistake about it. There's going to be other events going there. There are trading stalls set up on the other side of the road in this area. So this is a busy area. Not as busy, granted, as you would perhaps expect on Ladbroke Grove, but it will have these fluctuations in level. And as you've heard me say before, and you will hear me say again at other hearings, we're looking to improve Carnival. We're looking to make it safer, and we're not looking, as I think the applicant has pointed out, he's run an operation here for several years and at other locations. We're not looking for last year or 10 years ago. The Carnival is getting busier, and the safety concerns are increasing in relation to that. And we've heard from the police about the in the press about the challenges of stewarding it and the extra funds that have been needed to be injected to try and secure that safety. And as part of that overall drive to improve safety across the carnival footprint, these smaller, unplanned in some senses that don't fit in with the wider carnival strategic plan do undermine the public safety objective. Maybe not in a enormous sense in terms of it's not a vast sound system attracting thousands of people that's unlicensed, but in its own way, it is a hazard, particularly without the applicant being able to explain his plan and his operation in more detail and with this generic type of risk assessment that's been provided. So we feel we must object to this temporary event under the public safety licensing objective and would respectfully ask that it's not granted.
Thank you very much. Councillor Lindsay, any questions?
No, and thank you, Mr. Troll.
Councillor Wade, any questions?
No, thank you.
Okay, well, I think you said it all, so that's very helpful to us. I was just wondering one thing. Are these, do they have to, should it be on our risk assessment or in our requirements that they all have a first aid kit? Do we know if that's the case?
I don't actually know. I mean, a risk assessment should identify all the hazards, identify what the risks are, and then try to mitigate those risks. So as part of that, injuries to staff and or customers would come into that, and you would hope that perhaps the first aid kit would be deployed, or at least some acknowledgement of where the nearest St John's ambulance station is. In terms of whether that's a requirement, I can't speak for Notting Hill Carnival in terms of whether that would be. I would suspect it would be as a fairly basic and fundamental thing that will be required, but PC Perry moment no more.
Okay. PC Perry, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, it's not a legal requirement, Chair. Each application must judge the risk itself, but certainly when you're selling alcohol in an event like Notting Hill Carnival, it's something we would certainly look for because it's an identifiable risk that someone should see and take precautions of. So whilst not a requirement, it's something we certainly would look for.
So you'd say it's common sense?
Indeed, certainly to me, it is, yes.
Okay. Do the police have further questions of environmental health?
No, Chair, I think it was covered expertly. Thank you.
Okay. So does our legal officer have any further queries?
No questions from me, Madam Chair.
Okay. Licensing officers have anything to add?
Nothing further from licensing. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Governance?
And nothing from us. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Okay. We've reached the end of this meeting. The committee will now retire to make our decision in private session. We will reconvene in 10 minutes, so that let's say 12:30. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Hi, Mr. Richardson. Just double checking that you can hear me if you're able to unmute your microphone.
Yes, I can hear you.
Perfect, thank you. Yes, just to reconfirm that the hearing continued in your absence. You're at work, but the committee are currently away just making their decision, and they should be back with us in about 2 minutes' time, and they'll announce the decision for the 10.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for your patience. The committee are just rejoining now and should be with us in the next minute or so. Can I double check that PC Perry, you're still on the call?
Hi, Holly. Yes, I'm still here.
Thank you. And Julian, you still on the call?
Hi, Holly. Yes, I'm here.
Thank you. Paul, can I check you're there?
Thanks, Holly. I'm here.
Thank you. And Mr. Richardson, can I just double check that you're able to hear us still?
Yes, I can hear you.
Thank you. Lovely. We are just waiting for the chair to rejoin, and then the committee will be able to continue the hearing. Oh, Councillor Evans, just to let you know that I've double checked that everybody is back on the call and with us. So whenever you're ready, I'll hand over to you.
Thank you very much. We're back, everyone. I understand Mr. Richardson has joined the meeting now. Our legal advisor would make a statement on our behalf.
Hello, thank you, Chair. So welcome, Mr. Richardson. The hearing was due to start at 11:30 and obviously you weren't here. So the committee delayed the start of the hearing to find out one, where you were and whether it would be possible for you to attend. And I believe Miss Weaver spoke to you and you explained that you are a bus driver and you wouldn't be able to attend until 12:15. So having heard what you had said, the committee could have delayed the meeting, or they could have just proceeded in your absence. And they decided to actually proceed in your absence, having read the 10 that you presented and the submissions that you had made, and then they heard from both the police and environmental health. So they did hear the application in your absence, and whilst you attended this meeting, they were in another room making their decision, and the committee unanimously made their decision, and the chair is now going to confirm the decision of the committee. So if I could hand back to you, Janet.
Thank you very much. Mr. Richardson, did you want to turn your camera on?
Yeah.
Hello.
Can you see me?
The committee has determined, and we've considered the committee papers and the submissions made by the parties, both orally and in writing. In reaching its decision, the committee has had regard to the relevant legislations, the Secretary of State's guidance, and the authority's statement of licensing policy. In summary, the committee decided, after taking into account all the individual circumstances of the case and the prevention of crime and disorder and public safety licensing objectives, to issue a counter notice under Section 105 of the Licensing Act 2003 for the event. This notice means permission for the licensable activities requested in the 10 has not been approved and the 10 cannot take place. The committee decided that allowing the 10 would, in this instance, undermine the prevention of crime and disorder and the prevention of public safety. Licensing objectives, and it's determined to issue a counter notice under Section 105. A copy of the reasoned decision will be provided without undue delay. If Mr. Richardson would like to appeal against this decision, such appeal must be made to the Magistrates Court within 21 days from the date of notification of the full decision, but in any event, no later than 5 working days before the start of the proposed temporary event. I thank everyone for their time and for their submissions. And
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, committee.
This is now over. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chair.